Hope everyone's had a good day today. Today we're going to take a look at disciplines, the massive reveal by Artcraft Entertainment. I'm just covering disciplines today. There's a lot of information out right now. I didn't feel like doing a super long video, so hopefully I can keep this one short and sweet. I know I say that all the time, but we're going to try to keep this one under 30 minutes. I know I'm doing a live stream right now, in the middle of the live stream, I should say. So disciplines they announced yesterday. They have a little bit more information, or more detailed information on their website, which is what I'm kind of referencing here. We're going to go through and talk to these points. Some people don't know that these are even up on their website. I kind of got a quick chance to kind of breeze through this before recording this. So first, they announced that there are 100 different disciplines so far. They also said this as a disclaimer. Remember that it's in pre-upload, so some of them will change. Some of them will be removed, and you know, some of them, there are some more that probably will be added. So if we take a look, they have 3 different types of disciplines. Major disciplines, and I believe they describe them down below, but major disciplines are more like professions. And if you notice that all of these major disciplines are highlighted in purple here, and it says epic major discipline. There are different grades, so you can definitely tell that there will be varying grades of disciplines, right? So this is a major discipline. Major discipline is the type of discipline, and epic is the rarity. So we'll quickly breeze through them, but I'll quickly go through the formatting of major disciplines. This is the name of the discipline up here, the rune, the name of the rune. These are classes, or I'm sorry, I think they're called classes now. They're not called archetypes anymore. These classes can equip this rune, so it'll give you, more rage, and it'll enhance catch to your breath, which is regeneration. And then you'll also be granted a couple or a few active or passive abilities. So you can see here, these are 2 active abilities here. Runecarved Flesh, it's a damage reduction AoE attack buff, and then it's a critical hit chance buff for a set amount. And then a passive, which is this round, regenerate when low health. So that's Runescarred Gladiator, pretty cool, equipped by Champion or Legionnaire. We'll go to the next one right away. This one's called Banshee, can be equipped by anyone. This is a damage modifier +5, which is the stat bonus. You get Banshee Wail, which is a AoE movement speed debuff. Haunt, which is, it's an AoE debuff that enemies damage themselves and they heal you. So I would imagine you cast this debuff on them, and they're probably not going to want to attack if they're dealing damage return. But the whole healing you part is really sweet. Ghost Army, AoE attack, damage enemies and heals you. So basically it's like an AoE life leech. That's kind of what you saw in the video. If you watched the video with me yesterday, you saw a bunch of ghosts flying around. Passive is Angel of Death, increased damage to low health. So as long as your opponent or enemy is lower health, it'll buff your damage. Next one, Reality Warper. Anybody can equip this. This is a damage modifier +3. It grants Alter Reality, which will absorb healing on a target. So if you notice that they have some DPS characters, you can, I guess, steal the healings on that target, which is pretty interesting, very interesting mechanic. Tear Reality is an AoE debuff. Pulsing increases cooldowns. So really, this is like a disruptor in group fights. You should really disrupt their team composition. Passive is increased damage on low resource. Interesting. Crazy pills. Interesting. Huh. Very interesting discipline. Destroyer, Champion, and Legionnaire can equip this one. Increases your max rage as a stat. But you get Aegis of Salvation. It's an attack. It adds barrier and heal. Very interesting. So it gives you a shield and heals you. Insanity, gain health based on rage. And Frighten, attack, reduced enemy damage. It's an attack that reduces enemy damage. Passive is called Relentless. It'll restore rage in combat. Interesting. Moving on. Runecaster. Anybody can equip this. Physical mitigations +3. You get a rune shield, which increases elemental armor. Fortification, which group increases max health. So this is a group cast. Instant cast for the group, and it increases the max health of the group. That's pretty cool. Sanctuary, cast it in a field, increases allies' armor. So wow, this is really cool. This operates on a ton of AoE support, just essentially shielding and armoring up, group armoring. That's very, very interesting. Troubadour. Anybody can equip. Organic mitigations +3. Okay. So you get your powers will be consonant chains. So chain damage, snare. Chain damage and snare. So it snares them. And chains damage. Okay. Interesting. Requiem, song, pulsing, PBAOE, debuff, damage taken. Huh. Interesting. It's a song. Dirge of Dissonance. This is a song. It's a pulsing AoE damage. And the Lament of Sadness. This is a song. Pulsing PBAOE, debuff, attack support power. So this is maybe a discipline related to or similar to the debuff variant of a bard. Pretty interesting. Black Mask. This one can be equipped by assassins, duelists, or rangers. This is a stealth discipline. Shadow Mantle, attack, reduce healing received. Okay. Call Darkness is coming soon, and Shadows Linger is coming soon. Very interesting. Be curious to see what that one turns into. This one's the Dryad. So this one, everyone can equip. Healing modifier +5, enhanced Druid Orbs +90. So power is granted. You get Form Life, heal, place healing orbs. Blast of Leaves, heal. Channel Cone AoE. Very interesting. So this is very much like the opposite of the Confessor, Cone of Fire. Take Root, standing still buffs healing bonus. Okay, so this is more of a standing still or a static healer of some sort, channeling healer. Well, you get that bonus for the passive. You don't have to be standing still, but you get a bonus. Anybody can equip the Standard Barrier discipline. This is physical mitigation +3. So Banner of Storms group, electric damage override, and electric armor. Very interesting. So this is electricity based. Rallying Banner will grant a group attack power and rescue healing and slow cleanse. Very interesting. So it does a few things. Passive is barriers insignia, increase out of combat regeneration. Next one, Arcane Archer. Can be equipped by assassins, champions, knight, legionnaire, myrmidon, ranger, stalker. Elemental mitigation +3, distance bonus +10. Arcane shot uses elemental arrows. Very interesting. You get arcane barrier, gain barrier versus elemental. Binding arrows at ground target area root. Okay. Trailmaster, passive, increase out of combat movement speed. Interesting. So equips granted, bows, arrows, elemental arrows, slots granted, range slot, ammo slot, power trays granted, range tray. Very interesting. That one's a little bit more developed than a lot of the other ones. Yeah, you can clearly see this one's a lot more developed, a lot more fleshed out. Friar is the next one. Can be equipped by anybody. Powers granted are indulgence. You gain sin immunity. Huh. Okay. Benediction. Group increase bleed mitigation. Chain heal. Target heal multiple allies. Fortuitous blessings. Periodically gain a random buff. Very interesting class. I feel like it is so scattered. There's so many different things. And it's so specific. Like gains sin immunity. Okay. Bard. Can be equipped by everyone. This gives elemental mitigation statistics. And people are fairly familiar with bards. They cast songs for various buffs. So Song of Speed, you guessed it, speed buff. Guardian Rhythms, song, buff group mitigations. And Hymn of Restoration, buff group health regen. Versus a Victory, buff group attack / support power. So a bard is very strong in terms of just buffing so many aspects of mobility and resistance, regen, and power. So very well-rounded support, very cool. Scarecrow. Anybody can equip this one. Powers granted. Aura of Terror. Lingering enemies suffer frostbite and suppression. Needle in Haystack. Reflect piercing damage and bleed. Or causes bleed, but it reflects piercing damage. That's cool. Barrier negates piercing damage. Pincushion. So this is like an anti-range type of class, or I'm sorry, discipline. And terrifying features, attackers periodically stunned. That's cool. That's very cool. Resistance 5. Illusionist. Oh. Perception plus 20. Glamour weapon buffs weapon maximum damage. Reveal shadows, activates shadow sight. Oh, so this is kind of like detection maybe. Finery, passive, high quality equipment, increases damage and healing. Okay. Be an interesting combat class perhaps. Shield barrier breaker. Armor penetration, slashing plus 3. Armor penetration, so a lot of armor penetration for stats. Shield breaker, cancel and punish, block and parry. Dispel, cancel and punish barrier users. Group increases physical armor penetration. Oh, that's pretty cool. For your group, it's basically physical armor penetration. Armor penetration, that's cool. Rupture barrier, passive, increased damage versus barriers. And gain resource. Yeah, so if you have a barrier, the shield breaker is really good against it. Makes sense. Wow, there's a lot more. Let's breeze through this. Sharpshooter can be equipped through Assassin, Champion, Knight, Legionnaire, Myrmidon, Ranger, and Stalker. Damage bonus. Obviously, this is going to be distance bonus. It's going to be really cool. Aim shot. Basic. This is more of a physical arrow type discipline. Ricochet shot. This one it bounces. Critical hit bonus. All clear passive. Increased damage when apart from enemies. Okay, cool. Equipment granted, bows, arrows, slots granted, range slot, ammo slot, power trays, range tray. Sorry. Holy Avenger can be equipped to Assassin Champion, Cleric, Forge Master, Knight, Legionnaire, Myrmidon, Ranger, Stalker, and Templar. Statistics, damage bonus of crushing damage +5. You get the powers granted are Grabthar's Hammer. It stuns an enemy. The next ability is Battle Chant, gain pulsing damage aura. It's pretty cool. Sons of Warven, barrier negates fire damage. You shall be avenged, passive, increased damage on group death. So anybody in your group dies, you get increased damage. That's interesting. Okay. Agent Provocateur, Assassin, Duelist, and Ranger can equip it. This is Stealth +5, Caltrops, target area snare, Pierce debuff, lay low, stealth. It's a stealth ability, heals over time. Stink Bomb, stealth, target area stun, moderate corruption. Preparation, passive, generate pips while stealth. That's a very cool stealth discipline. Probably going to be pretty popular if it stays that way. What was I looking at? Mudman is next. Everyone can equip this. Powers granted, you get Jelly Skin. Barrier negates slashing damage. Muck Splatter, it's a crushing attacks, trigger area blindness and disease. Remold, heal crushing damage, heal over time. Interesting. Passive is Marshy Body. Passive, gain crushing armor based on stamina. Okay. Resistance 5. Escape Artist. Everyone can equip this. Disciplines, free action, group movement, crowd control, immunity, cleanse, weapon oil, group attack, crowd control immunity, and it cleanses. So it's basically an anti-CC class. Retaliate with movement speed bonus, speedy retaliate. Escapeology, passive, gain resolve, reducing control effects. Resolve reducing control effects. Oh yeah, it's a basic, it makes sense. Escape Artist. It's like a anti-CC, anti-snare class. Mohunter. So this looks like a detection discipline. Everyone can equip. Perception +20. Dodge, regen, tick rate. A very elusive detector. Grants powered heads up. Group increases perception. Remove expose. Flare, ground, target, stealth users, revealed, punished. Get 'em, attack, root, expose, punish. And passive is revenge, increases critical percent after stealth attacked. Yeah, so that's definitely the detection class. That's cool. Secutor, cleric, druid, knight, legionnaire can equip. Statistics are physical mitigation +3, blocking efficiency minus, -0.5 is blocking efficiency, so interesting. Powers granted, you get form up, that's coming soon, and passive vision of the Allfather, that's coming soon. So here you're granted tower shields and small bucklers. You're granted an offhand weapon slot. That one's more of a shield bearer. Where am I? Secretary, okay. Adjudicator. Assassin, champions, clerics, confessors, druids, forge master, frost weavers, knights, legionnaire, myrmidon, ranger, templar can all equip. The stats for this is damage bonus, crushing +5. This is adjudicate, attack, inflict holy damage, and then prosecute, damage scales with sin. It's like a confessor. discipline. Interesting. Field Surgeon. This is a healer, so heal modifier +5. Everyone can equip this. You get Purgative, group cleanse, damage over time with healing. Rehabilitation, it's just a single target heal over time, and it scales with stamina, which is cool. Rescue, target of ally avoids death. So this is almost like a shallow grave in Dota, where you prevent your teammate from dying for a period of time. That's super cool with the right timing. Passive is noble purpose, recover resource based on healing. That's really cool. I like that. Makes you a lot more sustainable. Militant Mage. Everyone can equip this. You get blade turning, barrier negates slashing damage. Reflection, reflects slashing damage, and you gain slashing armor. Warp Metal. This is an attack that inflate resource costs on enemy slash hits. And then passive is Sword Ward, gain slashing armor over time. Interesting. Juggernaut can be equipped by everyone. You get powers: Furious Retaliate, retaliate with increased resolve. Ability called Unstoppable, gain crowd control immunity. Ability, a passive called Spite, regenerate when stunned and or knocked down. Toughness, group increase maximum health. Plague Lord can be equipped by everyone. You get Shrivel, which is an attack. Black Mantle, disease, expose, punish. So it's a disease based. Makes sense, Plague Lord. Decay is an attack that reduces healing taken. It's a disease, and it's an expose, punish. So Festering Wounds, attack that reduces healing. Diseases, it's a disease based attack. Touch of Rot, passive, reduce support power on last basic. Okay. Shield Fighter. This can be equipped by the Cleric, the Druid, the Knight, the Legionnaire. The stats for this is Armor Penetration, Crushing, +5. You get Brutal Slam. It's an attack that reduces enemy physical armor. Throw Illusion Shield, which is an attack on multiple enemies. Mighty Shield Slam. It's an attack charged. It empties stamina for damage. Interesting. Malone Labe. Passive, reduce big hit block cost. You get Small Buckler, and you get an offhand weapon slot. Knife Grinder can be equipped by Assassin, Champ, Duelist, Knight, Legionnaire, Myrmidon, Ranger, Templar. The stats on this, you get a damage slashing bonus. For powers, you get Tenderize, which is an attack that weakens a bleed armor, and it's stackable. Cauterize, remove bleeding. So this is an anti-bleed class. That's interesting. Long Live the Fighter, passive, bleed on last basic. Very bleed specific. And Naiad. Anybody can equip this. This is a healer. Cast Fountain of Life, Fountain, target AoE, healing fountain. Water Spirit, summon a healing water spirit. Passive, multiple buffs per incoming damage. So this is a water-based healer. Very interesting. Cool. Pixie. This is a major discipline. Everyone can equip. This has got a healing modifier of 5. You get Pixie Dust, which is a ground target AoE. It buffs incoming healing. We1, ground target AoE. It debuffs damage bonus. Fix Pix. It's a passive that chain heals jump more, and you have a fall off reduction for those chain heals or for any of your spells. That's cool. Underdog. Everybody can equip this one. You get Deadly Retaliation with guaranteed crit. Payback, gain critical streak following retaliation. Death Throws is a passive that area knockdown on retaliation at low health. Underdog, passive, gain attack power when stunned or knocked down. Very interesting. This is a very like retaliation base. Firewalker. Everyone can equip. For powers granted, you get Fire Eater, fire attacks, restore health. Wow, interesting. Reflect fire damage, and you get fire armor, which is basically reflect or dealing damage to any melee attacks. Conduction, passive, increase attack power after fire damaged. You get a resistance to fire. 5. Blade Master. Assassin, Champion, Duelist, Knight, Legionnaire, Myrmidon, Ranger, Templar can equip. So for the stats, you get Armor Penetration, Slashing +5. For the powers, you have Blood Strike, which is an attack that bleeds multiple enemies. You have Dazzling Blades, which is an attack that reduces critical hit chance. Okay, whatever. Retribution slash attack, and you gain retribution. Blood price, passive, spawn blood orbs for healing, and attack power increase. Cool. Last one, Poisoner. We have can be equipped by Assassin, Champion, Duelist, Knight, Legionnaire, Myrmidon, Ranger, Templar. For stats, it's Armor Penetration, Poison. This is a poison base, obviously Poisoner. For powers, you get Poisoned Blade. It's an attack that poisons the enemy. Mithridatism, remove poison. You get Poison Food, which is coming soon, and Poisoned Weapon. Passive, poison on last basic attack. Very cool. Holy shit. We have minor disciplines. I'm just gonna read through them real quick. Since we are kind of running out of time, but minor disciplines are more or less like how did they describe them down here? Let's see. High level, there are 3 current types of disciplines: weapon, specialization, major disciplines, and minor disciplines. Yeah, so this is more of additional power slots or attributes or feats, I guess is a good way of putting them. Matching leather, this one will give you like a passive support power gain with all leather. Explosive thorns, this one will grant thorns bonus area damage. This is peripheral vision. You get passive, activates perception while harvesting. You get illusionary armor, reduce health loss by armor of faith. Uniform leather, which is a passive that gain attack power when with full leather. Blood pact, you get powers cost health instead of resource for a period of time. Shield whiz is you get a shield throw, which it has a this will give bonus ricochets, and the shield throw will have a specific fall off bonus, and these are formatted in a specific way that this one can only be equipped by the cleric, druid, knight, or legionnaire. Passive being infinite angels. Passive shield throw applies a snare. Uniform plate, this one gain attack powers with full plate. Punch drunk, you get extreme damage, resets all cooldowns. Minor accompaniment. Everyone can equip. This is minor accompaniment, increases song damage. Overwhelming odds, passive, gain mitigation when enemies are near. Found resources, this is for assassin, duelist, or ranger, but passive, return to 2 pips on stealth. Uniform mail, all passive, gain attack power with full mail. Pound of flesh is passive, damage bonus versus high health units. Twisting is passive, twisting songs increase song potency. Careless Whisper is a passive buff that critical stats with primary attacks. What does that mean? Buffs criticals, statistics, and primary attacks. Okay. Shadow's Caress. This one increases health regen and stealth. That's pretty cool. That's really cool for stealth characters. That's essential. Everyone can equip this. This is a power bar bonus slots +1. Sustaining Note. Everyone can equip. Song duration. Dig in. Passive. Crit immune while low health. Dig in. Stone Skin. This one will increase armor, cure poison, and reduce health gain though. Forge Master for Stone Skin. Hand of Glory. Everyone can equip. This is an extra ring slot. Everyone can equip Sturdy. This is reduce health loss at high health. Prickly Skin, which is passive increase bonus thorns. Everyone can equip this. Fashion Statement. Everyone can equip. This is stealth -25. So anti-stealth, but you get 2 amulet slots. Matching Plate. Gain support power with full plate. Let's see. Last Resort. Passive gain critical chance on low health. Mortal Sin. Passive debuff increases critical hits taken. Interesting. This is for Confessor or Templar. Burning Hatred. This is for all. Burning Hatred passive. It spawns health orbs on damage. Very interesting. Imminently Punishable. Assassin, Champion, Cleric, Confessor, Druid, Forge, Frost, Knight, Legionnaire, Myrmidon, Ranger, and what is this? Stalker? I don't know. Powers granted. Hit me. Passive, gain resources on enemy hit. Furious, equipable by Champion and Legionnaire. It's a passive that increases damage bonus if rage hits max. Glass Cannon, equipped by all. Passive increases damage, reduces your armor. Matching Mail, passive gains support power with full mail. Protective Thorns, passive Thorns grants armor and it's a class buff. Spirit Whip, passive basic attacks chain, which is pretty cool. This is for Assassin, Champ, Cleric, Duelist, Knight, Legionnaire, Myrmidon, Ranger, Templar. Very, very cool. So you can basic chain attacks. Resolution. TJ Bond says I want to reflect. Yeah, there's a lot of like Thorns based like reflection game, which is very interesting. I guess we'll see. This is all kind of speculation, but I don't know. There's gonna be some super annoying and kind of trolly builds, which will be very interesting. But that's what makes the game very interesting, right? So some people are probably just gonna try to min-max straight damage, but that's what the whole reflection builds are going to specialize in. But even me thinking about just doing healing, it's gonna be very, very interesting to do like a healing build that could punish them for targeting me by reflecting or by generating, like for example, generating orbs if I get hit. That could be very, very cool. But yeah, where were we at? Resolution, or no, I'm sparring, increased basic attack damage. Thorn Shield, active thorns. This is another reflection. Finish him, passive increase execute ability damage. Increase execute ability damage. Okay. You have, I think the last section, or last type of disciplines I should say, is weapon disciplines. Here we have, you know, your masteries. You can take a look. I don't know if I want to, I guess we can go through them real quick. Let's take a look at how these are formatted here. This is for the duelist. Damage bonus or stat bonuses here, but you get pistol shots, basic, restore pips, rapid fire. Oop, let's go through the weapons and what they grant you for abilities here. I won't go through all the can equips for time's sake. And the stat bonuses you can kind of see: slashing, crushing, piercing bonus, distance bonus. You get bow shot, which is physical arrows here, hunker down. Field increases damage and armor. So multi-shot attacks a cone of, and you can damage up to 3 enemies. Very cool. Pole maces, you have pummel to suppress an enemy. You have harass, which will increase movement versus low health enemy. You have cleave, which we all know kind of know what cleave is. So Christopher Gaines asks, does the game rely on crit for damage? Because the crit immune passive is interesting to me. I wouldn't say that the game relies on crit for damage. It is, even before they released this massive reveal, crit was kind of OP for Confessors because it paired crit up with, their skill tree that allows them to increase crit chance. But not only that, but crit damage amount, and then just base damage attack increase. So if you've played any type of MOBAs, you kind of know that like it's very similar, right? So you can have a crit build if you really want to, but I think a lot of the more advanced players I think are going to focus on more reliable damage. That's my opinion. I can't obviously predict what everyone's going to do or what the meta is going to be, but if I were to build and min-max some type of DPS build, it would definitely be more geared towards sustainable damage, because a lot of the zerging or group fights are going to happen. And I don't know, I feel like Confessor was nice because it was super bursty, only because you can burst sustain that way. So I guess, to short answer your questions, does the game rely on crit for damage? A little bit, but not entirely. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but it's very much like a MOBA in that sense from what I experienced before. You can most definitely now customize your characters to be more crit oriented if you absolutely wanted to, with all of these now minor and major disciplines. And of course with your masteries, we're going over the weapon masteries now. I would imagine things like daggers, or even like the types of swords and rapiers are very much oriented for crit, but we'll take a look at that. Let's take a look at pole axes. We have for the Legionnaire, Wounding Slice. This is a bleed base and attack to restore resources. Your passive is increased damage versus slowed enemies. That's very cool. Masters of Hammers. We get for the Assassin, Cleric, Knight, Legionnaire, Myrmidon, Ranger. Your damage bonus here is crushing. You have Restoration Smash, which restores resources. Clobber, which is dazing an enemy. Yeah, Christopher Gaines. Okay, thanks. So the crit nullifier is an OP. Yeah. So I mean, it's super situational, right? So I mean, like you can build something that kind of negates crit chance, but I mean, with all the options here, you're kind of it's almost like a lottery, right? So a wise player is going to adapt and adjust to the current meta. So I mean, if you have one static build the whole time you're playing the game, you're probably not going to do too hot, because people are going to change, and that's the intention, right? They kind of declare that, hey, these runes will last and decay over time, and which is what makes rune crafters a little bit more valuable, because they need to replenish your runes. So if you're sitting there and all you're thinking about is crit chance mitigation, when that decays, what are you going to do? Make more crit chance mitigation when you're only going to encounter maybe one or so of those every couple handfuls of people. You kind of have to plan out what suits your playstyle the best. If you're like a melee durable DPS sustain character with high mobility, you're probably going to want to be, I guess, more durable. So maybe like crit chance mitigation might be just one small aspect, but I can't foresee building a whole thing based on crit chance mitigation. So yeah, I don't think any of these things that I've seen will be quote unquote OP. I think the one thing I'm kind of watching out for is the same situation with Confessors, being people are going to min-max the shit out of damage output, and that is going to, I think, require some balancing, because if people are starting to do that, I think the problem they had with the pre-alpha before is you weren't able to really sustain against a group of good confessors unless your supports were on point. So that'll make for a very interesting gameplay. I'm very curious. I don't foresee anything at the moment being just quote unquote OP. It's hard to say without actually testing, and I think that's what'll be exciting about this weekend. So hopefully I can provide more insight on that as we get it. But yeah. Master of Mystical Stabs here we have for the Druid. This one is damage bonus to electricity. We have Grasping Roots, ground target area root. We have Soothing Winds, which will target healing allies over time. So this is, again, more Druid oriented, but we have passive increase essence regeneration, and then passive for slow growth to decrease essence generation. So you will equip one or the other for your Druid. Master of Shields here, we have Shield Glare, blind an enemy. So this is reduce damage and control immunity, basic blocks. Passive is numbness, reduce big hit block cost. Pretty basic shield mastery. Focus, here we have Nova, which hasn't been defined yet, but piercing orb, slow pulsing damage, projectile, mana reinforced barrier, and passive is area damage on barrier removed. Master of Arcane. So this is more Confessor based. I see the book here. Confessor, yep. So Firewall, you can summon a fire field. This is new. Wow. Redemption, attack, shoot multiple fireballs. Concentration. This is a passive that... Oh, so this is reducing the mobility of the Confessor. Buffs mana and zealotry regen. So standing still. Okay, so one of the complaints that they had was Confessor was super mobile and super bursty, which made them extremely dangerous. So snaring Confessors were a priority when we were doing group PvP. This is so interesting that they've kind of nerfed the Confessor by incentivizing standing still as a passive. We'll see. We'll see if that's being utilized or what's going to happen with that. Master of Axes, we have... for the appropriate classes that who can equip axes here, we have Furious Slash, which is reduce long cooldowns, whatever that means. So just reducing cooldowns that are longer than X. Demolish Armor, this is stacking armor break. Cool. Armor Reduct, armor debuff that compounds, which is fantastic. Berserker Strength, which is a passive, attacks randomly add a barrier and attack power. Interesting. Wow. You get a random barrier. Okay, I guess you get a random barrier. That's pretty interesting. Scimitars will electrocute and stun an enemy with Call Storm. Grounding. Group increase electric armor. And Stormcaller, which is a passive that generates essence healing orbs in combat. That's pretty sweet. So Scimitars are electricity based for the Druid. Melee Druid, electricity. Cool. Daggers for assassins, duelist, rangers. Here we go. We have crippling stab, attack, reduce short cooldowns. Slow demise. This is reducing healing. And steel soul. This is a passive that basics gain lifesteal. Lifesteal passive, huh? Reduce cooldowns, huh? With lifesteal passive. We're talking about, talking about crit builds. There you go. Or sustainable DPS builds I was talking about. Master of Swords. Hope you guys, I don't know if you guys heard that, but we've got thunder over here. Master of Swords, we have critical. Here we go. I was talking about this. So this is the crit build that was somebody had commented on before. But this is critical hack, increase critical hit chance, restoration strike, restore resource, an iron skin passive, which is increased slashing armor. So basically reducing and reduce ability costs. Wow. So if you're a Master of Swords, this one's probably one of the better weapon masteries if you're into damage output here and damage reduct and reduce ability costs. That's really, really nice. This is a very, very strong mastery. So not only do you restore your resources, these are all very usable and good almost all the time, right? You restore your resources, you increase your critical hit chance, and you get, well, slashing armor is nice, but the main one is reducing ability cost here. That's very, very usable. I really, really like that one. That's probably one of my favorite ones if I were a combat-oriented class, or damage-oriented class, I should say. Master of Rapiers we have for Assassin, Duelist, Ranger. This one is piercing damage bonus. Crit Slice, increase crit hit damage. So this one's more crit hit damage. And your attack, cut and thrust. So this is an attack, stun versus block or parry. So if they try to block or parry your move, you will execute a stun. Very interesting. And your passive is slow on the last basic. Huh. So this must be like a time operate on a cooldown, or are they talking about slow on the last basic in the combo chain? Not sure. Yeah, dropping healing orbs. So Christopher Gaines mentions that's if you're using healing orbs while lifesteal as well. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I don't know. That's what I'm so curious. I know that you can equip. I think they limited your masteries to a couple, but you know the minor disciplines. You know we're talking about stacking that. I think you can have 3 of those. But there's one where if you take damage, you drop orbs. If you deal damage, you could potentially create orbs. And if you have a lifesteal passive from your mastery, and then you compound that with, you know, like crit chance modifiers or crit damage modifiers, or even lifesteal modifiers, that'll be a very annoying DPS. But there's so many snares and disables. I think that's what will kind of balance it out. So that'll be very interesting. I think the name of the game is always going to be some type of disable and calculated and organized combat, right? I think it's going to be very different from like a zerging mob that I've seen in like Guild Wars 2. I think like when I play with my guild mates, we're orchestrating very strategic takedowns and priorities, right? And I think that's what needs to happen, and we have specialized roles to do that. So that's what makes this very cool, because now you have specialized roles that specifically specialize in snaring or disabling characters who do that, characters who are high output or just overall very annoying. We can kind of prioritize and call and you know do our call outs and snare and then execute or remove this threat from the battlefield. I think that'll be a huge one. So that'll be very, very cool. So there's a comment: healing orbs and lifesteals might null base damage plus the crit null passive. Healing orbs and lifesteals might null base damage. I don't know. I think they're gonna balance that though. I mean, like on paper, that sounds accurate, but we don't really know how much healing orbs are gonna be modified or adjusted. And we don't know how much lifesteal, right? So it's not, I guess, I don't know if that's a safe assumption to say that they're going to nullify that kind of stuff, because really base damage, in most cases, if they want to balance it out, I don't think lifesteal is going to be a gigantic amount. I think we're just reading you gain lifesteal, but we're not really considering what percentage of lifesteal, you know, is it, you know, obviously a 50% lifesteal is massive, but if you have single digit percentage based lifesteal or fixed lifesteal, it's a lot of math involved, but I think they're doing a pretty good job balancing that, so that you don't not just have some guy just literally just hack and slashing, right? So left click to win or anything like that. I think it's gonna be fairly balanced, or at least we're hoping. So yeah, it's a very interesting mechanic. So this is all a new system. So I mean, I've played in the pre-alpha, but with the introduction of so many new disciplines and masteries and so many new elements kind of figuring into the mathematical equation, it's going to be extremely complex. And I think from now till launch, people are still going to be trying to figure out like what type of synergies are going to take place. So thanks for the fire, by the way. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for swinging by. I always try to answer any of the chat questions we have, and I know that Crowfall is probably some of the most popular content that I cover. So thanks for swinging by. I have no problems answering questions. I know we were supposed to cut this video short. It kind of doubled the video, but I have no problem answering questions because it kind of helps with the quality and content of my video. So I have no problems doing that. And this is all just speculation. I think we're theory crafting here, which is cool. But I'm thoroughly excited to actually play this. I have no clue. I'm usually a healing class, but I don't even think that would be very interesting for me to test out unless I'm rolling with my guildmates and we're actually testing this out in PvP. It'll be very interesting to see. I think a lot of the gameplay for this weekend is going to revolve around, like they mentioned, that these disciplines and these runes will be easy to craft. I don't know how easy they are going to be to craft to test, but we'll find out, I guess. So they have some follow-up questions before we kind of wrap up the discipline section. They have a bunch of kind of like FAQ. So can any character take disciplines? Yes is a short answer. What kind of disciplines are there? So we talked about the 3 types, right? Weapons, we have minors and majors. And you can gain a discipline by attaching rune stones, which are crafted by rune makers. And it says, can you remove a discipline? The answer was no. Short answer is kind of. You can replace a discipline, a rune stone, but the old rune stone is destroyed. That is to summarize what they basically written here. Where can I get rune stones? Disciplines, like I mentioned before, this is crafted, which makes rune carving, which is the crafting skill, kind of valuable. So you'll probably want a dedicated rune carver, at least a handful of them in your group, or at least one if you're rocking a private group. If you're in a guild, probably you're going to have multiples, right? So they said they're making it incredibly easy for testing. Of course, that makes sense. How many disciplines can I take? This is really, really interesting. This is more of the technical information. So you can have 1 weapon specialization. Makes sense. 2 major disciplines, which is very, very interesting. This is a very cool combo. So now we're opening up doors to more. I always assumed you were going to get 1 major discipline, but having 2 of them is absolutely awesome. 3 minor disciplines, and I kind of expected that because those are more like feats. But having the 2 major disciplines is going to be very, very interesting. That'll be awesome. So they kind of explained, what are these disciplines. We talked about weapon disciplines. It's pretty straightforward. Major discipline is a subclass. I did mention that before. And then a minor discipline is like a talent, or they're called feats in RPGs a lot of times. What's a passive? I don't need to explain that. And can different races or class take a different number of disciplines? That was the first portion of the format, that they are certain ones. A lot of them are class specific. I would imagine for launch they're going to define that a little bit more rigidly. I doubt that most of these major disciplines are going to be accessible to quote unquote all classes. I know that they're going to want to create a lot more specific and specialized classes, if I'm kind of gauging their current trend of creating very, very, very unique classes and play styles for people. So that's my guess. Now that you have split races and classes, how many unique combinations? That's just speculation. Big ass number. That is the answer. You have a shit ton of combinations you can imagine. And then that's pretty much it for disciplines. The next is graphics overhaul. I don't want to go over that, but that pretty much wraps up the disciplines section. We did a lot of kind of speculation in theory crafting. This is their graphic for it, but I know that there will be more. And a big kind of tell is they have, like I mentioned earlier, they have the rarity of these runes. You can see here, these are rare minor disciplines. There will be like normal, or there will be myth, or whatever they're calling it, epic, legendary minor disciplines as well. They'll have, rare, and they'll have epic, rarities for masteries. So they're giving you some pretty late game ruins here. They're so you can imagine all of these times whatever the amount of rarities that they'll have, and obviously that grade will be based on the rarity. So very, very cool. Hopefully you guys got a lot of value from this. Thanks for swinging by. Those of you guys who are in the chat, shout out to you guys for swinging through and joining us for the stream. I'm gonna close it out, and end the stream covering disciplines. I think tomorrow I'm gonna go through the classes and races they talked about, and I maybe go over the graphics overhaul another day, but I think tomorrow will be a good day to cover the classes and races that they have, and then Friday and this weekend will be gameplay of this latest update. So if you guys are interested and like the content, tune in at those times. I try to stream around the same time each day, when I put the kids to bed and put the wife to sleep. So I typically stream and try to get down here anywhere between 8 and 9 o'clock Central, and I just go until I'm done covering content for the night. So I just go till whenever is the question mark. I try to do about an hour, 2 hours each night. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope you guys will tune in next time. All right, guys, peace out for the night.